caso não é nada
Não,
mais.
foi Ferraz. É alguma coisa Ferraz?
Ferraz deve estar tudo ó.
Amanhã vai ter a mãe vai, as mães de autismo vai tudo.
As the director, I have a certain spark of inspiration. I don't know how to tell the story yet. There's an emotion that I want to communicate to the audience. There's a thing that is driving me. And how do I tell it? The plot could be anything, the characters, all that is something we create to serve the communication of this emotion. And how do you do that? And that's the trial and error part.
Pra escolher no refeitório, tinha um lugar estirado. Se for, você vai ver. Não,
Sequels have their own challenges. I think from one standpoint, you know, it's easy to say a sequel might be easier because you already know a lot of your main characters. You already know who they are. You're not starting from scratch. You have to look at it as character growth. Well, I know this about that character, and I know that about that character. What new thing has that character not had to deal with? And how would they react to that?
You think that because we know the characters, we can plug them into any story and it should work. The trick is, we know the characters that existed before, but we don't know what they're going to go through now. And you have to honor who they were in the first movie to a huge extent, or they ring untrue very quickly. And those are the traps we fell into very early.
You have to sort of create a conflict. And for McQueen, it was a natural one.
Finding McQueen at this stage of life, it seemed the natural place to go was an aging athlete, dealing with how to play catch up or be relevant.
I'm a sports fan, and you know, I've watched basketball players in the NBA get old, and the young guys come in, and what do you do when your legs don't work? But it's hard to see those guys retire. And it was the same with this one. It's hard to see McQueen come to an end. And so there was a lot of debate about, well, he shouldn't retire. He should keep racing and find his mojo. And so we had some spirited debates about that.
We were tasked with a few key things. I think the biggest and most important was the resurrection of the sort of Cars 1 feel.
What I loved most about that movie was the heart of it.
We wanted to get back to that feeling, and we wanted to go back to McQueen's story and catch up with him.
He starts in a place where he's on top, and he's winning until somebody comes in and he realizes all the people of his era are being replaced.
Hey, Bobby, who is that? That's, Jackson Storm.
So the next gens.
He's one of the rookies.
Is short for the next generation of race cars. And this happens periodically. Technology changes in cars.
Why is he so darn fast?
It's no mystery if you study the data, Mr. Hicks. Jackson Storm is part of the next generation of high-tech racers, unlike the veterans of yesterday.
We wanted to introduce a new type of car that seemed like it was from the future. We wanted to feel like, sometimes like we do at work. Like we've been in a career for 20 years, we know our job, we're pretty good at it.
That was our playhouse.
And then we train a bunch of interns that are 20 that grew up on the films that we were creating when we were 20. And suddenly we realized they have the potential to be better than us. They may already be on the cusp of drawing as well as we do, or of thinking of the right kinds of ideas, or living in character in new ways. They're doing our job. That was our inspiration for the next gens.
You have no idea what a pleasure it is for me to finally beat you.
Oh, thanks. Wait, hang on, did you say meet or beat?
I think you heard me. We also talked to Jeff Gordon. Jeff Gordon is quite the NASCAR celebrity. Superstar racer. He would tell us stories about how, as he got older, these young, faster kids.
This is not as easy as I thought it was at one time.
Would come in and they would pass him on the track. And he used to not worry about it. Just sit back and he'll be passing them again. And then one day he woke up and realized he was not passing them back.
Going this way and this guy behind me is catching me and I'm sitting there going, what? No way. You know,
For this movie, that's what McQueen needs to be pushed on. Is sort of his, what do I do now? Can I compete with the younger generation? And I think it's true for all of us. Everything just keeps going, and there's always going to be somebody younger and faster, maybe better, and why do you do what you do?
This is my last chance, Cruz. Last! Final! Finito! If I lose, I never get to do this again. If If you were a racer, you'd know what I'm talking about, but you're not.
We're taking this character that we're talking about how confident he is. We're talking about he's bulletproof. But in the very next scene, he's going to be telling Mater, I can't do this anymore. So it's interesting for me just to know that Superman is feeling like he's lost his powers, and he's starting to show his own vulnerability.
The fact that McQueen has to figure out who he is if he's not the fastest and the youngest anymore, what can he offer?
Hey, boss. They're calling the racers to the track.
Going into the final race, you initially feel like you've gone through this whole journey where McQueen's been training, and you want to see it pay off.
Now, go make Hut proud.
You got it. You're teed up to think, okay, McQueen's going to do this. It's going to be a sports comeback story, and he's going to win this race.
There was a huge struggle with the hero winning or losing. We had already seen in Cars 1 our hero show that he could win the race, and he doesn't win the race. He stops Stelp the King across the line because it's the right thing to do. So technically, we hadn't seen Lightning McQueen win a Piston Cup race. And in Cars 3, we struggled with how much do we show him win.
The centerpiece of Act 3 was the Florida 500 race, and we tried a lot of different versions of it.
3, 2,
For a long time, we weren't sure who should be in the race, McQueen or Cruz. We tried it with McQueen, we tried it with Cruz, and we realized depending on who was in that race, it really affected the emotion of the movie and how people felt at the end.
Nice race.
You too.
You know, we went through a long period where McQueen won that race.
Hey, Jackson. Storm's over.
And he ran that race wearing Doc's blue livery, number 51, fabulous Hudson Hornet, now the fabulous Lightning McQueen.
Not just the lead, the checkered flag! Lightning McQueen wins!
I think as we continued to watch it, it just felt like something was missing.
It felt pretty good, but it felt like a lot of films you've seen before, and it kind of didn't match what started the film. What started the film was a guy who's searching for himself. We know it's a matter of time before he's not going to be able to do it anymore. And so we beat on that for a long time.
You wanted to come up with something for McQueen that you think he would want to do more than race.
Go!
There was a McQueen-Cruz relationship from the beginning.
There you go!
And that was the thing that people emotionally responded to. So it was like the story was following this comeback thing, but emotionally you were mostly interested in the relationship. And I think that was the first big challenge, was to actually commit to, okay, it's not a comeback movie. It's about this relationship, and everyone wants that. So how can we put that at the forefront and also not see it coming? So it was sort of a comeback movie that turns into a mentor movie.
Oh, yes, you nailed it.
Thinking about the movie evolving into a story where McQueen becomes a mentor, it seemed natural that we would hear more from his own mentor.
We wanted to somehow get back that magic of Doc and McQueen in that relationship.
All right, if you can drive as good as you can fix a road, then you can win this race with your eyes shut.
And the first thing we did was we went through a lot of the old recordings, original stuff that Paul Newman had recorded for Cars that we hadn't used, and started listening to those lines and going, how do we get that in there? How do we get this powerful relationship of Doc and McQueen back in this film?
All right, just save that warm, fuzzy stuff for later. We got a race to win.
When he was doing the lines for Cars, it was Paul Newman. He wasn't acting as anybody else. And a lot of people don't realize that's the last film Paul Newman actually acted in before he passed away was Cars.
He says, I gotta push.
What does he still have to teach McQueen? What does McQueen have to learn? What did McQueen get from Doc that he can pass on to somebody else?
It takes returning to that initial spark. After Cars 1, the relationship that was planted with Doc and McQueen went on, and it would have blossomed. And we wanted to go back and revisit that, right? That was the connection. You get a young guy who had a mentor. What journey is that when you find yourself 40 years old and you lose your parents?
You got a lot of stuff, kid.
And you realize this safety net that you've always had under you is starting to go away. And there's this moment where you realize, I'm losing my safety net, and I'm also someone else's safety net. And there's this transition in there. It's awakening, And there's a maturity that I think you go through.
Kid's got a lot of stuff. Hey, Doc?
And it seemed fitting for McQueen to have to deal with that.
Well, she had a great teacher.
He needed someone who would help him grow to learn that it's okay to move on to the next stage in life.
It's Cruz Ramirez for the win! I am speechless!
Putting him on that crew chief stand as a mentor really felt like it completed the film. If you feel obsolete or feel fearful, there is something beyond that. You can either let yourself get crushed by it and crash and stay in a garage, or you can move forward into a better you.
I'm proud of McQueen for sort of evolving to such a place that he can appreciate the joy of helping someone else succeed. Once you realize that he really wants that, that everyone's rooting for that. And it's a great, deep, emotional place for the story to go.